Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And as you can see, this morning I'm back downstairs to do the podcast. Jane's mum has gone to take some things down to Daryl, Jane's brother. Jane's getting ready. We've been actually packing this morning as well. Basically just waiting for whatever Boris is deciding that he's going to do in the realms of restrictions from New Year. But I'll come into more detail on that as I go through the news. And at the morning, little Jet there, look at him. He's a little gorgeous, that little fella. He's been having a bit of crumpet this morning, as well as his food. So let's crack on. Let's have a look what's been going on within the last 24 hours, not only here in the UK, but also back home in Greece. Anyway, first of all, the weather then. Can I just say thank you to Amanda for your concise weather forecast that turned up this morning. She had a bit of a day off yesterday. You said they had a few sore heads from the day before. Anyway, Monday's weather then in Greece. Cloudy with light rain. Yellow warning for thunderstorms. Yellow warning, thunderstorms. Temperatures in Greece at the moment, 17 degrees, although it's going to feel like 15. Have a great day, she says. As for here in Leek, Leek is cloudy with rain, 5 to 4 degrees. That's a lot cooler, isn't it? However, it's going to feel like 2. So anyway, that's the weather forecast for Greece and also for Leek. Right, okay, let's have a look at the infections in the last 24 hours in Greece. Got to be pleased to say that infection rate's going down. Now, because it was Boxing Day, although the Greeks don't have Boxing Days the same way that we would have Boxing Day, the numbers are down on Christmas Day and also on Christmas Eve. In fact, there's been a steady decline in numbers over those past 3 days of holiday. Anyway, yesterday, Christmas Day, yes, on Christmas Day it was 6,590. Yesterday, Boxing Day, 4,036. So there has been a drop in infections, and on Christmas Eve, if you remember, it was 6,667. I will also have the stats for the week on the islands when I look at those as well. Right, so that means at the moment that brings the total up at the moment since the pandemic started to 1,074,869. There were 8 new cases identified after checks into the country, which was down on the day before where there had been 11. At the moment, so far, there's been no indication of any increase of Omicron. At the moment, it's 54 cases of Omicron have been confirmed in Greece at the moment, and they've been located in Attica, Lekona, and also Crete, are the main locations. However, there was 154 under investigation. There has not been any more information on that 154. Right, let's have a look at the stats for the week then. As I like to do on a Monday, I like to collate all the infections on the island over the past week and then do a comparison to the weeks before as to whether there's a downward trend or an upward trend or whether things are staying the same. Well, at the moment, Lefkada has reported in the last 24 hours on Boxing Day 11 new infections. That was up on the day before where they had 7. Now, over the past week, they've had 59 infections in total on that island. That number is down on the week before where they had 65, and the week before that they had 98, whereas the week before that they had 33. And that island is in the green on the traffic light system within Greece's system for infection. Now, when it comes to Corfu, Corfu yesterday had 26 new infections, and the day before that they had 85. Their total infections for last week have been 508, which is up on the week before where they had 445. The week before that they had 483. The week before that they had 639. And basically their epidemiology has gone up slightly, obviously, within the last week in comparison to weeks before. And that island is in the highest alert state, which is dark red at the moment. Now, when it comes to Kefalonia, interestingly, Kefalonia's figures have actually been dropping, actually. Yesterday, Kefalonia reported no cases at all. Christmas Day, Kefalonia had no cases at all. Their total for the past week has been 17. That's down on the week before where they had 34, and the week before that they had 61, and the week before before that, they had 84. The week before that, they had 85. And the week before that, they had 44. But they are in the yellow. And at the moment, it'll be interesting to see if they might actually drop their epidemiology down to green. But we'll wait and see. But anyway, they're in yellow. Now, when it comes to Zakynthos, yesterday we had 15 cases reported for yesterday. The day before that, there was 6 cases reported. Now, over the past week, Zakynthos has had 50 new infections across the island. Now, our figures are a little bit disconcerting. That means we've actually had a rise. Whereas the week before we had 39, the week before that we'd had 69, the week before that we had 86, the week before that we'd had 118, the week before that 126, and the week before that 144. So we'd actually seen a drop in infections over the past 6 weeks or so. But unfortunately, it looks like our infection rate has gone up again this week, up from 39 of last week, 39 of the week before to 50 last week. So again, we'll be keeping our eye on that. And at the moment, just to remind you, Zakynthos, we are in the 4th highest status of amber. And the next step to that is light red, and then after that it's dark red. So again, let's see if our epidemiology color will stay the same, or maybe it might be dropped at some point. When it comes to deaths, interestingly, on Boxing Day, I'm afraid deaths were up. On Christmas Day, reported you 58 deaths. Boxing Day yesterday, 79 new deaths across Greece. Christmas Eve, if you remember, they had 94 deaths. So again, deaths have gone down and now they have started to go up again. That means at the moment there's been 20,429 deaths since the pandemic has started. As of now, again, there's been no cases that have been linked to the Omicron mutation here in Greece. When it comes to the ICUs at the moment, it seems that cases were on the decline. Yesterday, I did report that there was 617 cases. The day before that, 655. Well, within the last 24 hours on Boxing Day, critical cases have gone up to 624. Now, of that 624, 372 are male, 252 are female. The average age of those people is 63 years of age with underlying health conditions or over the age of 70. And regarding the vaccination status of those people, 521 of them are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated, and 103 of them are fully vaccinated. Right, a quick snapshot then of what's going on with COVID in the UK at the moment. Boris is battling at the moment to avoid posing tough COVID restrictions for New Year's Eve ahead of a crunch meeting today with his scientists. Now, the Prime Minister will be holding talks with advisors to discuss whether legal curbs are needed to deal with the threat of Omicron. They're still banging that drum at the moment. Downing Street is understood to be leaning towards new guidance urging people in England to be careful and limit contacts rather than imposing new legally binding restrictions such as table service in pubs or limits on household mixing. Now, pub bosses said that they were on the brink after a catastrophic Christmas, adding that the future of our world of famous pubs depends on this at the moment. They need a new year. And it was interesting, again, not covered in the mainstream media whatsoever, but on Christmas Day, there was a massive party right outside the gates of number 10 of the general public. Thousands of people turned up. It was packed from end to end on the main road by the gates into where number 10 is located. And again, no mention at all by any of the mainstream media about that party going on, which is like the prequel party to New Year's Eve, and it was a form of protest, peaceful as well. There was no trouble. That could have been the reason why it never got into the mainstream media, this event had even taken place. In fact, what I'll probably do, I'll put a link into it at the end of this broadcast so you can have a look for yourself and see the amount of people that turned up who basically said no to lockdown, no to mandatory vaccination, no to Plan B, and basically no to any restrictions being imposed on New Year's Eve. Anyway, also it said so far, I've got to be honest, Boris has resisted calls to go as far as Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, introducing curbs and social mixing. Similar restrictions have also been imposed in many European countries, including Greece at the moment. We've had restrictions imposed as well for New Year's Eve. And again, any new legally binding restrictions would need the backing of his cabinet, and they would also have to be rubber stamped by MPs. Now, to deal with that, sources said last night that a recall of Parliament was looking less likely than it did before Christmas. Anyway, an indication that Downing Street is leaning more away from stricter curbs. So again, let's wait and see what happens, because this will depend on Jane and I as to whether we are going to go south down to see my mum and see my brother. So today for us, it's a crunch day. Are we going to be looking at turning round and going back, or are we going to be going down south? So Boris, stay in the UK is down to you, mate, because if we can't get down south, we're going to have to start rearranging flights and everything else to be able to go back into Greece. And we're also worried about what Greece might start doing as well. So again, this has not been an easy trip away, to be quite honest. I'm glad we did make the effort and we did come. But anyway, hopefully Boris is not going to do anything daft. But then again, we still got to see what will happen, say, maybe around about the 3rd of January, as to whether something else might be thrown in after all the holidays are out of the way and everything else. What could he do, say, maybe from the 3rd of January onwards? Again, we shall, again, like everything else, wait and see and just keep our eyes and ears open. Greek news today then, just to let you know, the big story at the moment in Greece is that the former president of the Republic, Karolos Papoulias, he passed away on Sunday. Papoulias served 2 terms as the Greek president. He was in office from 2005 up until 2015. Papoulias was a long-standing member of PASOK, that is like the Greek version of the Labour Party. He'd held various ministerial appointments in his long political career. Mainly he was working in the Foreign Ministry and also in the Defence Ministry as well. He also served as the MP for his home region of Ionia for 26 years. The current President Katerina Skalapoulou said his participation in the national resistance and his efforts against the junta, this was back in the 1970s, defined his journey, reflecting his constant commitment to the ideals of freedom and justice that he constantly defended. Anyway, the Greek government has decided to hold 3 days of official mourning. During the mourning period, the Greek flag will fly at half-mast in all public buildings, and his funeral will also be at public expense. So once again, a legend of Greece has passed away. Interesting, going back to Omicron again, the Greek Committee of Experts advising the Greek government is expecting to recommend additional measures to contain the spread of the Omicron when it meets again, like Boris, they're meeting today on Monday with Mitsotakis. Anyway, the options that are being considered at the moment include reintroducing teleworking to 50% in the private and public sector, earlier closing times for the catering and entertainment venues between 11 p.m. or midnight. So we're going back to looking like what we called the curfew. Anyway, they're also banning standing as well in bars and cafes and restaurants, customers, and also banning music in restaurants as well. The music ban has returned. That's me out of a job anyway. And also restricting the number of spectators in sports matches or banning them completely. Anyway, last week ahead of Christmas, the government cancelled open air events, imposed the wearing of masks in both outdoor and indoor areas as the kind of first step. Now, interestingly, the Greek Education Minister Niki Kerameus has once again ruled out remote teaching on Sunday during an interview on Sky TV, Greek Sky TV, emphasising that the government will prioritise keeping schools open. And she said as well, there are no discussions for remote teaching at this time. So again, the kids are going to go to school school, which I think is best for them. Let them go there, let them mix with people, let their little immune systems get hardened up by being exposed to the coughs, sneezes and snuffles and things that kids pick up when they're playing in the playground, which all adds to their character as well as adding to their immune system being able to cope with whatever comes their way in life. Now, and finally, interestingly, we've had a couple of earthquakes in Greece in the last 24 hours. The first one was a 5.2 magnitude, which jolted the southern Greek islands, but no damage or casualties were reported so far. Now, the tremor struck yesterday evening around about 5:15, and it was east of the island of Crete. The earthquake was felt in Crete, in the islands of Carpathos, Kassos, Rhodes and Santorini. Then there was a second bigger tremor that struck again off the island of Crete. That was about 4 hours after the 5.2. And this one was a 5.4. Anyway, the aftershocks from it, actually, which followed a couple of minutes later from 9 o'clock last night, Greek time, was round about a 4.2. Anyway, the press had been talking to Michaelis Elokis. He's the mayor of Kassos, which was closest to where the epicenter was. Now, he told the Greek press that no buildings were damaged in either of the earthquakes and people were not overly worried. Yes, as always, the Greeks, they just get on with it and carry on, dust themselves off and get on with it. I'm pleased that no one was hurt and no one was injured. And again, we'll keep an eye on that. Just to remind you that we do have earthquakes, or I would call them more earth tremors. Earthquake is very dramatic sounding language, I've got to be honest. Earth tremors, I call an earthquake when things start falling down and collapsing or the roads open up. That to me is an earthquake. But anyway, that's the news for today. Can I just say thank you once again? Can I also apologise for yesterday for the Northern Soul show? I know people were queuing up, looking in, expecting the show. We had some technical glitch with my show. I ended up having to re-upload it again last night, hoping that it would work. But anyway, it should be okay, and it should go out tonight, 7 p.m. UK time, which is 9 p.m. Greek time. Great selection of Christmas Northern Soul, which I was really looking forward to that show playing yesterday. But I will be hopefully in the chat room tonight, and obviously will field any inquiries, have a little chat away as well. Right. That's it from me. Jane and I were meeting up with a friend who's coming to meet us. We shall see what Boris has in store for us today. And if there's no broadcast tomorrow, it means that Jane and I are making our way down south, down to Kent, to go see my brother, stay with him, and also see my mother. So just be advised that there might not be a broadcast tomorrow, but I'll keep my ear to the ground. I'll keep keeping up with the stats, because sometimes it's quite easy to miss a day and lose out on the stats. But anyway, thank you to all those people that are tuning in at the moment. Big shout out to Jan Lawrence, Julie Sheraton, Gav Kitchen, Pete Dyer. Good morning, Ginge. Cases will drop on Sunday as the virus goes to church. I like that. I like that one, fella. I like that. Also, Ian Daly is tuning in as well. Nice to have you looking in. Brian Darlington, he says, good morning from a dull Stockport. Vic Eastman is also tuning in. Alf Ling is tuning in, and Brian Darlington as well. I've already said Brian, haven't I? Anyway, thank you for all those people tuning in. I'll keep my ear to the ground. If I hear of anything, I'll let you know. And have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon. Ta-ra.